What's up everyone, and welcome to Drive Steady. In this video we're going to go over why we think these 5 sports cars will go up in value. Before we get started, thanks to everyone who watches our channel. We appreciate all the views and the thumbs up. A brief note about our list is that it's not in any particular order. There is no expectation that one will go up in value more versus the others. The first car is the 2018 and 2019 Porsche GT3 and GT3 with the Touring package. This is probably our favorite car on the market right now. We think this car will go up in value for a couple reasons. First is that in 2018 and 2019, Porsche put the fantastic naturally aspirated 4-liter engine in these babies, which comes directly from Porsche Racing and from the higher trim level, the GT3 RS. For the model years 2015 through 2017, Porsche had originally put in the 3.8 liter in the GT3, which is great on its own, but the 4-liter is just another animal. It puts out 500 horsepower and 339 foot-pounds of torque in the GT3 trim, and it rockets from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds with the PDK transmission. I haven't driven the GT3, the 2018 and 2019 models yet. However, I've driven a 991.1 GT3 RS with a free-flowing exhaust, and I'm telling you that 4-liter engine, words do not describe the sensation of taking that car to redline. The second reason why this car will go up is because Porsche bought back the manual transmission for these two model years, the 2018 and 2019. In the 991.1 trim from 2015 to 2017, it only came with the PDK, and many of the Porsche enthusiasts went crazy over the fact that they couldn't get a GT car with a manual. I personally couldn't believe it myself. It was an interesting move by Porsche. But the great thing about them, Porsche being, is they listen to their customers, and they certainly did with the GT3 because they bought back the manual transmission, and it's been a big success ever since. And finally, the Touring package. This is another brilliantly executed strategy by Porsche. I don't know who does it better than them in that they remove items from a car and somehow make it cooler. The Touring package is specific to the GT3, and for the most part, it removes the big wing in the back. It makes the car available in a manual transmission only. It changes some interior materials a little bit, basically making it a little less hardcore, and amongst many other things, but it's named correctly in that it's a GT3 Touring, so it's more of a GT type of car, but not taking anything away from it. It's very capable. So anyway, the Touring has become extremely hard to get, and many dealers with allocations are selling them above sticker till this day. And if you want the Porsche paint to sample, forget it. It makes it even harder to get and rare. Us personally, we would take one in the standard GT3 trim with paint to sample green, probably the British Racing green or the oak green metallic, with the 6-speed manual. That would be pure nirvana, pure perfection for us as far as a Porsche would go. So combining all of these things, the GT3 has huge potential to go up in value within the next 5 years or so. The next car is the 2019 Corvette ZR1. As a reminder, the ZR1 is the most hardcore Corvette Chevy has built, and it comes with a supercharged V8 pumping out 755 horsepower. Think about that, 755 horsepower. The recently released Lamborghini Aventador SVJ has 770. That's only 15 less horsepower than a hypercar Aventador, which costs 6 times as much money. The Corvette has always been about the value proposition, and the performance has always come with it. So a couple reasons why we like this car. First is that it very well may be the last front engine, big power, big everything Corvette that GM ever makes. The mid-engine is going to debut on July 17th of 2019, which is something we cannot wait for. But what that does is it limits the 2019 ZR1 to a 1 model year run. I don't think the production numbers have been released yet, but some estimates say that there are around 2,000 cars produced up until this point. And I know that the Corvette plant is going to stop making these things in the next month or two. Another reason is because that this very well may be the last Corvette that comes with a manual. Yes, you heard me right. There are several rumors saying that the mid-engine Corvette is going to have a double clutch 8-speed transmission and no manual will be offered. And I think this is such a shame because the 911 and the Corvette were one of the few sports cars that continue to offer manual transmission driving experiences. Anyway, the combination of the ZR1 being a one model year run and the possibility that it's not only the last front engine Corvette ever made, but also the most powerful and hardcore, makes the ZR1 a potential candidate to hold its value and to skyrocket in the future. The next car is the Mercedes-Benz SLS. This is the first car on the list that cannot be purchased new since it was produced between the years of 2011 and 2015. The SLS came with a very popular 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, which made 563 horsepower in the regular trim, but went all the way up to 622 horsepower in the Black Series trim. This is probably one of the best looking modern Mercedes cars made in our opinion.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Which leads into the first reason why this car will go up in value. The gull wing doors. This was the second time in Mercedes' 100+ year history that they put gull wing doors in their production cars. The first, of course, being the wildly popular 300 SL, which one recently sold on Bring a Trailer for more than $1.2 million. And of course, the second is this SLS. This reason alone, the reason of the gull wing doors, is enough for this car to shoot up in value. One thing to remember is that Mercedes made the convertible version of the SLS and that did not come with gull wing doors. And for the record, we don't think the convertible will go up in value because it doesn't have those gull wing doors. Another reason why this car will go up in value is that it was the last supercar Mercedes made, or halo car, they made with the 6.2-liter naturally aspirated engine. It was the final send-off, and basically what a send-off it was, because that engine was the European equivalent to a big displacement American V8. And even then, no one besides the American manufacturers were building big displacement engines. And finally, the SLS Black Series. This car was the ultra hardcore version of the SLS. It had more horsepower, more grip, more aero, more everything. And to add on top of that, they only made 132 of them. 132. Think about that for a second. That's a crazy, crazy exclusive number in today's mass manufacturing world. You want to hear something even crazier? They only made one example with the historical Mercedes Silver Arrow colors, and of course it was for internal purposes. I'm not sure if it's been traded hands publicly or not. Anyway, the SLS Coupe is currently being sold ranging between $140,000 at the low range and up to the $500,000 range for the ultra rare, ultra limited SLS Black Series. If I were a betting man, I'd bet you one of the SLS Black Series models will top the 300 SL trim that we mentioned that sold on Bring a Trailer in about 5 to 7 years. Next is the 2009 through 2012 Audi R8 V10. When the R8 debuted, it was one of the most beautiful designs at the time. The V8 in the R8 is the Lamborghini-derived engine which pumped out 525 horsepower. The reason why we like this car is because it came with the Lamborghini and Ferrari-esque gated shifter. There's nothing like a gated shifter, and the fact that this is a German car with a Frankenstein feature built into it like the gated shifter makes this a special car that probably won't ever be made again. The new Audi R8, as many of you may or may not know, only comes with the double clutch transmission. So going back to the older generation, or the first generation R8, the V8 with the gated shifter and the classic looks of the R8 make it a huge candidate for increase in values. This is probably the most affordable car on our list, and you can get a clean example in the high 90s or $100,000 range. And of course, if you're looking for something very particular, they could go well into the from 100 to 120,000. And rounding out our list, the last car is the Aston Martin DBS, built from 2008 to 2012. This is probably the most beautiful and timeless car on the list as far as design goes. I bet you 30 years from now, when you put all of these cars next to each other, the DBS will still look the best. The DBS came with a powerful V12 engine pumping out 510 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. It wasn't the lightest car at 3,700 pounds, but that wasn't the point. The DBS was the last ultra-luxurious Aston Martin that came with a V12 and was available in a manual transmission. I know the Vantage came with a manual, the old one at least. Aston Martin has promised to put one in the new one as well. But I don't consider that the top of the line trim, and that was more of a performer car, more along the lines of competing with a 911. The DBS was more than that. It was a gentleman's car. I mean, it was James Bond's car. It was something special. You can find one of these for around $150,000 in today's market. And that's the DBS with the manual transmission. We do not think that the E-gear or the paddle shifted car will go up in value. But combining the elegant looks of the V12 with the manual shifter makes this another very, very special car with the potential to continue to go up in value. And that's our list. Just a slight mention before ending the video, I put a link in the description below and at the top of your screen to another video we made that outlines the 5 cars we think will go down in value. So check that video out. I think you'll be surprised with some of the cars on that list. But back to this video, we would be interested to see if you guys have any other suggestions that could go on our list. So feel free to put in a comment for us below. Until next time, drive steady.